Hey everyone, I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining me today because we are about to take a massive trip down memory lane. Today's explainer is going to take us on an incredibly nostalgic, sensory journey into a beautifully emotional story that perfectly captures the quintessential 1990s South Asian rooftop experience. If you lived it, I promise you, this is going to feel like stepping right back into your childhood. And if you didn't, well, you're about to discover a fascinating cultural ritual that was entirely centered around family, sweltering heat, and finding absolute peace under the night sky. We're going to break down the evening routines, the hilarious sibling rivalries, and the really profound lessons hidden in these memories.
There's this one specific phrase from our source material that just hits the nail on the head. 90s summer nights had their own unique charm. This single line perfectly sets the stage for what we're talking about today. It wraps up that deep, emotional, and sensory memory of a typical summer night long before widespread air conditioning. This wasn't just about finding a place to sleep, right? It was a whole way of life. It was about community, family dynamics, and the shared experience of just battling the elements together.
So let's look at how these nights actually unfolded, starting with Phase 1, evening preparations.
As soon as the sun finally started to set, the whole house would kick into high gear with this frantic yet highly structured evening ritual. It was a daily operation, totally commanded by the mother of the household, rallying her daughters to prep the roof for the night. First up, the sisters had to haul these heavy, woven wooden beds, known as charpoys, all the way up the stairs. But the real magic? That happened in step 2. The mother would specifically instruct them to throw buckets of water onto the roof. Why? Because these were usually mud or concrete roofs that had literally been baking in the sun all day long. The water would evaporate and dramatically cool the surface down. But, as the older sister notes in the source material, they had to be incredibly careful not to splash any water near the charpoys themselves. You absolutely needed a cool floor, but completely dry beds. It was basically a precise science of keeping comfortable.
Which brings us to Phase 2, the pedestal fan battle.
Once the beds were set, we entered the most perilous part of the evening. Dragging an incredibly heavy metal pedestal fan up to the roof was a grueling task all on its own, but the real conflict was deciding exactly where it would be pointed. This brilliantly illustrates the dynamic of these nights. Saba, one of the younger sisters, uses this classic daytime excuse to claim the fan at night, saying, "I'll sleep in front of the fan today. The heat at college exhausted me." It's a completely desperate, calculated move to monopolize the absolute best spot on the roof.
But of course, you have to contrast that immediately with her sister Ikra's retaliation. She fires back, "You hogged all the air yesterday. I'm telling Dad." It's just hilarious because we are talking about 20-something-year-old college students bickering like absolute toddlers over a literal inch of breeze. The older sister has to step in, reminding them they're way too old to be fighting like this, and tells them to just go to their beds. This was a completely universal experience. If you had a pedestal fan, you had a nightly courtroom drama over who got the air.
And that leads us right into Phase 3, the watermelon truce.
Just when the sisters are about to wake up the entire neighborhood with their arguing, the mother steps in with the ultimate, delicious de-escalator. 5 minutes of fierce sibling fighting is instantly defeated by 1 minute of cold watermelon. She brings up this cold, fresh fruit and essentially forces a truce, telling them, "Come here, everyone, we'll get some air, sit with love, and eat this." And you know what? It works perfectly. The older sister even remarks on how quickly a 5-minute fight was solved. But, just to be sure the peace actually lasts, the mother throws in the classic empty parental threat. "If you make noise again, I'll take the fan downstairs." Case closed.
So this builds a really clear timeline of the night for us. We've got the evening setup and the midnight fan fights. But just as everyone is finally settling down with their watermelon, getting ready to enjoy that sweet breeze, boom, we hit the dreaded power outage.
Welcome to Phase 4, Surviving Load Shedding.
The power abruptly cuts out. The mechanical hum of the fan just dies. Suddenly, the family is left in sweltering heat, and almost instantly, you hear that high-pitched buzz of mosquitoes everywhere. The source material describes the sisters groaning, "Oh, the heat. Did the light go out?" It was the ultimate test of endurance. But this is where a hero emerges, armed with a Pakhi. A Pakhi is this traditional, usually brightly colored hand fan used to manually create a breeze. The older sister, realizing the younger ones won't be able to sleep, sacrifices her own rest. She sits up in the pitch dark and starts fanning them with it. And honestly, the funniest part is that the younger sister, who is half asleep, still has the audacity to mumble, "Point the air a little more to my side." Even in their sleep, the demands for the breeze never stop. But eventually, the power returns, they thank God, and drift off to a really deep sleep.
After a few hours of that incredible deep outdoor sleep, the scene shifts to Phase 5, the morning struggle.
The entire tone of the night changes as sunrise approaches, signaled by the chirping of birds and the echoing sound of the Fajar call to prayer. And this morning scramble is so universally relatable. Mom is up, waking everyone for prayer. The sisters are groggy, begging just 2 more minutes, Mom. It's the exact same story every single day. They promise they'll wake up early tomorrow, which of course they never do. But you know what the real motivation to finally get out of bed was? The older sister warns them that if they don't get up quickly, Mom is going to assign them the heavy morning chores. So they stumble out of their charpoys to start the day.
But let's shift gears for a second and look at the Volta, a peaceful legacy. We've laughed at the bickering and the chaos of the night. But as we look back on these memories from the modern day, there's a really profound narrative shift. It's this deep realization of the peaceful legacy these hard nights actually left behind. The source material puts it beautifully. We used to think, what a hard life, so much work, so much heat. But today, I realize those were the most beautiful days. Back when these families were hauling heavy wooden beds upstairs, fighting the heat, and battling mosquitoes, it felt like a struggle. But looking back now, the sensory memories of chatting under the stars, the cool breeze finally hitting your face, and just the sheer love of a mother bringing watermelon to end a fight, there was a profound hidden peace in those struggles that simply doesn't exist anymore.
And that brings us to a really stark contrast. In the 90s, we had heavy charpoys, hand fans, and literal fights over air, yet it somehow resulted in deep, restful sleep and true family connection. Today, we've got air-conditioned rooms, ultimate climate control, and unmatched physical comfort. Yet, as the narrator of our source material confesses, even in a perfectly chilled AC room today, she can't find the peaceful, restful sleep she had on that hard mud roof. We have gained ultimate convenience for sure, but we've somehow lost the emotional rest and the close-knit family connection of the past.
Which leaves us with a final, powerful question. Did you also spend such days in your life? Whether it was on a rooftop in South Asia, or maybe a front porch somewhere else in the world, what is your version of the 90s summer night? Have we sacrificed our peace for the sake of our comfort? I really want you to think about that today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope it brought back a piece of beautiful nostalgia for you. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and I'll catch you in the next one.